about them Irish?
I can't take it anymore. I need a national championship.
This is the Four Horsemen podcast.
The Pitt Panthers were pathetically pummeled by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish 37-15, and that doesn't even really reflect the true score, as Pitt scored 6 points against the backups as time expired. I am Dylan. I am joined by Steve and Timothy. We are the Four Horsemen podcast, and we are back. Glad to have you for this big week. I say that somewhat sarcastically, as we play Syracuse. The football season comes to a near end here in November, and I'm going to bring the guys on. What are your thoughts of this game against Pitt, and how are you feeling about the rest of the way?
Eat shit, Pitt.
Yeah, I didn't think that Mason Heinschel was going to kind of bum out that much. I heard nothing but good things about him. Thought he would test us a little bit, but maybe that's a testament to the Notre Dame defense finally kind of putting it together. And again, we're singing the praises of Chris Ash against Navy. And I think, again, this defense came to play. They were not screwing around. There was turnovers. There were some hard hits. So it seems like they really smothered them. 0 for 13 on third down for Pittsburgh, was it? So, yeah, just totally and completely shut them down. Forced a lot of turnovers and turnover on downs and punts. So,
can I ask you guys a question here?
You bet.
Speaking of the quarterback for Pitt and surprising performances, what do you think his QBR was for the game? And just before you answer that, and before the audience looks up what QBR is, quarterback rating, it's scaled from 0 to 100. It's an ESPN statistic. It's based on expected points added per play and some other funny math that we don't have access to. Basically, the idea there is 100 is perfect, 0 is horrible. Where do you think the Pitt quarterback fell for that game?
Steve first.
35.
I could tell you where he was, and it was one higher than how many first half rushing yards they had. 8.
Yeah, he was an 8.7 out of
and they
100.
had 7 rushing yards in the first half.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I've ever seen a score that low. Like, usually, like Steve, I would have guessed right where you guessed. I would have thought, yeah, he had a bad game. He was probably in the 30s somewhere. He had 8. This Notre Dame defense is legit. Chris Ash has completely found his groove, I think, in this defense. I think the guys are playing the way he wants to play. I think the D's looking great. Another thing I wanted to ask you guys, did anyone else think after the Tay Johnson pick 6, which came right after Jeremiah Love's Heisman spinorama touchdown run for 50 yards, did anyone else think we might actually score 100 on them for just a little bit?
I did. I 100% did.
Yeah.
And I was mad we didn't.
We were on pace for 170 points or something like that. What the hell was Narduzzi doing with those comments before the game? So for those listeners at home who might not be familiar, Pat Narduzzi, the head coach for Pitt, says he's asked a question about how much of a must-win this game is for him, Notre Dame, and he says, well, it's not a must-win. We could lose by 103 or 110 to 7, and it wouldn't matter because it's all about the ACC games going forward. Which, like, I get what he's trying to say, because, like, they can still get into the playoff just as an ACC champion if they win out. But, like, my God, what a message you sent to your team there. And they played like it, to be honest. 37-15 is extremely flattering for Pitt. That should have been probably 55-7 at most.
Yeah, our defense, I'm going to credit our defense for the shutout because the first field goal was a turnover that they got back at the red zone, basically. The touchdown at the end of time was not real, and then the pick 6. So our defense basically, for all intents and purposes, had to shut out.
I kind of agree with that. Like, their points came off of that turnover that was brought all the way down to the red zone, and we held them to, just very little offense the entire game. It was just really dominant from the defensive line. I thought the corners were pretty good. Christian Gray had a great game. Great to see him kind of back in form. Apparently was injured a little bit. So, Steve, any kind of thoughts on this game here before we go to Tim's absolute fibs of a story this weekend?
Yeah. What I was just trying to look up, I wasn't able to find it, but I had seen it flash across X earlier, and it was Pat Narduzzi's career record, not only versus the top 25, which wasn't too spectacular. He's just a little under 500, but then it was also his career versus basically big name brands, such as Penn State, Notre Dame, so on and so forth, and yeah, it was pretty ugly. So what I think his comments ultimately were knowing that he can't win the big one. He can get a team that can be a solid mid of the ACC. He can build up 8-9 win programs, but when it comes to running with the big dogs, this guy just can't put that team together. And maybe
wasn't
it's
even competitive.
Pittsburgh as an institution, or maybe it's Narduzzi as a coach. They just can't get there. So I think he was just trying to soften the blow, basically saying like, hey, I'm going to talk some shit on this game and downplay it, but because he knew he was going to get blown the fuck out, because that's just what history tells us. He can't win the big one.
I believe he's 0-5 against Notre Dame in his career as a Pitt
Correct.
head coach.
I don't know the exact numbers, but they were ugly.
Yeah, and none of them have been close either. Maybe the first one, there was one year we kind of played Pitt weirdly close, but it had been blowout city for the last 3 or 4 of them. Tim, you were there. You went to Pitt. You had some funny stories that Pitt fans didn't think were real. You got to address that, I think.
I sure
were they
do.
real stories? And B, share what kind of shenanigans you got into, because I saw some of the pictures and videos from people we know that they took that weekend, and it looked like you had a lot of fun.
There is one picture I wish I took, but I didn't because I was just in dismay, and I'll tell you what it was. So overall, just to give you guys I usually don't talk about my personal life too much, but this was very much a very high and very low weekend as far as emotions go. Got there Thursday night, pulled up, and this place is a ghost town on Thursday night. And by ghost town, I mean I'm literally staying across the street from a cemetery. A massive cemetery. Inside of a basement, which most Pitt houses are basically duplexes. I feel like every single one that I saw this weekend was a duplex of some sort, except for one. Shared housing, kind of stuff. People live in this city on purpose, I'd like to remind you. But the next day, we wake up at noon. We got in at 2 a.m. and we go to get lunch, and we roll up to this. I'm not going to say the name of the place because people are assholes, especially Pitt fans. If you haven't noticed that yet, you're not online. But we get up there, we walk in, wearing all the Notre Dame stuff, and the owner comes around and he says, "Are you guys Notre Dame fans?" I'm like, "Oh shit, here we go. This guy's about to give us a hard time." He's like, "I hope you beat the fucking shit out of them. They were such bitch fans." And then he went on a 15-minute tirade about how they're shitty fans and how he was disappointed in their fan base. He was able to scalp tickets at the 50-yard line, row 1 for $20 for almost any game he wants at any point in time. And the only time they ever come close to a sellout is when Notre Dame or West Virginia or Penn State comes into town. It's an embarrassment. The entire program's an embarrassment. The fans are an embarrassment. They couldn't even stay around to watch the end of the game. I almost got in a fight with a student on the way out. And by got in a fight, I mean his friend was holding him back, and I pretended to be held back. Like, "Oh, hold me back." Just because they're sad. And they definitely thought they had a chance, and they never did. So let's go on to the actual fun stuff of the weekend.
Wait, hold on. I saw this on the Twitter machine quite a bit. What fan was this guy of? Because I heard you say it's not Penn State. Who's he cheering for to be such a cranky old man?
He was a Georgia fan.
A Georgia fan in Pittsburgh. Okay. We will not name the location. We don't need the Pitt fans turning on his business, but Georgia, interesting. All right, continue on.
Yeah. And the food, I must say, I wish I could plug his business because it was really fucking good. But again, Pitt fans are Pitt fans. So, I mean, I don't want to deter him from losing tens of customers, but, maybe he relies on that little bit of Penn fan base or Pitt fan base that exists. Much doubt it. But, so we set up my tent in my cousin's yard because it's, again, another noon game. And so rather than going to tailgate at the stadium, we decided we're going to tailgate at his house, and I'm so glad we did because it was an absolute shit show downtown with the college game day there and the game at noon and all kinds of other stuff going on. So we set up my tent in his yard, tie it down, set up the cornhole, blah, blah, blah. That's Friday. I don't know if, I'm sure some listeners might know what this is, but there's this drinking game called Shotgun Roulette. And it's basically exactly what you would think, like Russian roulette, except it's with this little thing that holds a can, like a koozie, and then you spin the bottom and it cracks the beer randomly. And I'm an asshole, and so when it came around to me, I did like the fake spin and went click, like out loud, and passed it along because I thought it was funny. Had I not done that, the beer wouldn't have exploded in my face when it came back around the next time. So, just so you all know, karma is real, and that's going to be the highlight of this kind of recap I'm giving you here. So, let me back up a little bit because this is where a low part comes in. So, when we're setting up my tent, I get a text from my friend. And it turns out that one of my best friends from Charlotte is in the hospital and he's not doing good and they're pulling the plug on him on Saturday is what I was told. So immediately I'm sad. And there's no way I could talk to him. There's nothing I can do. It's been a time coming, and he is one of my best friends when I lived down there in Charlotte. He definitely helped me get through a lot. So then Saturday comes around. We had some pulled pork. I made some meat hot. There's a reason why I'm saying that because it comes back later. I eat some meat hot. Or pulled pork was great. And I do want to say, I texted you guys that morning, and what did I say? I said we would get a torn jersey or shirt at some point during that game. And we sure did. Price made my dreams come true.
He took the punter for a ride, my guy. I've never seen a grown man get yeeted like that across a field. He carried him for like 15 or 20 yards. It was ridiculous.
I'm watching that in the stands, literally laughing. So we get on the bus, we do our toast. I'm not drunk, but I'm well served because I have no responsibilities this day. It's just make sure I don't die or get in a fight. That's literally my baseline of goals. So we get to the game, and like I said, I'm well lubed, and so I'm definitely very obnoxious. I'm yelling during the game. I'm waving my scarf like a towel. I'm the only one yelling because Notre Dame fans on the road do not yell like it's a home game like we should. It's just an accepted fact, but I'm an asshole, so I do it anyways, knowing so. We get that first touchdown. The Jeremiah Love touchdown. And my cousins and friends decide to put my fat ass up in the sky for 7 push-ups. So that happened. And then the next play, we get a pick 6, and I go up for 14 push-ups. And then I tell them I'm done. Because I feel like we might score 110, and I'm not doing 2,000 cumulative push-ups this game. So that was cool. Now we get the really cool part. So I've been an asshole and loud all game. I am not directing anything at anyone in specific or particular. I'm just loud. I'm just an obnoxious person. So when CJ Carr threw that pick 6, the guy 2 rows in front of me stood up, turned around, screamed in my face, and gave me the double bird. Fuck you! Yes! Right in my face. I'm like, all right. And I was like, my cousin's dying laughing because I've been loud the whole game. Like I was like, you would think that I deserve this? In my head, in this moment, I'm not thinking about any of that. What I'm thinking is, watch what's about to happen next. Like something's gonna happen in like the next 2 seconds because that's the way my world works. Is I always get instant karma gratification when shit like that happens. Sure enough. Pick 2, running back the other way in the 2-point conversion. And the whole way he's running back, I'm right behind the guy, fucking poking him with my middle fingers in the back of his head, going, hey! And my aunt's trying to stop me. All his friends are pointing and laughing at him. It was fantastic. It was so good. Absolute classic moment. And then afterward, he was like, I didn't really mean to. I was like, dude, it's a game. We're all having fun. Or we're having fun. But I'm all down. I'm all down for shit talking. It was perfect. I was like, you couldn't have drawn that up any better. I told him as soon as he flipped me off, I knew we were gonna do something like that. It was really cool. It wasn't cool. The ACC officiating coming out in the last minute and a half of the game, and typical Narduzzi calling a timeout with 6 seconds left in the clock, down 28. What a fuck nut. When he did that, I never root for people to get hurt. But in this moment, I was secretly hoping when half his line got just trampled and done for the season, because that's what you would get for trying to squeeze out an extra play. Like, you should lose all your talent when you try and do something fucking stupid like that.
At least he didn't kick a field goal. I kind of respect the attempt for a touchdown.
I honestly, I kind of wish he did kick the field goal, because that would have been just funny.
It would have been like Syracuse, that 2018 game at Yankee Stadium. Yeah, it sounded like you had a good time, Tim. Is that fair to say?
Oh, I had a great time. And then getting out of there, all those Pitt fans, students had to get on the bus to go back to campus. And it was just a sight to behold. Just all these sad...
Did you check out their campus at all?
No, why would I go look at that piece of shit?
I hear it's a nice campus. They got a decent building there that's kind of stands out.
The people are the campus. Notre Dame's got a beautiful scene, but it's the people that make and the students and the faculty and tradition that makes the campus. Pitt has none of that. They've got one tall building. I don't even know what it does.
All right, very anti-Pitt. That's fair. I mean, the banter got a little good, got a little heated.
Yeah, they're calling me liars.
Nice.
Why would I lie about something like that?
Well, and that's what I don't get. It's like, is it really that hard to believe that somebody in the city of Pittsburgh doesn't care for Pitt football? Is that really that far of a stretch?
I know a few people in Pittsburgh. Every single one of them actually hates they either couldn't give a shit or they physically hate Pitt University for reasons of they just don't like them. They think they're dog shit. They don't like Narduzzi, or they don't like the fact that they've ruined the Steelers field and they're a Steelers fan and they think that they should get their own stadium, but they can't afford it because they suck.
Yeah, the more that I'm looking at the map of Pittsburgh and trying to figure out how they can get an on-campus stadium. They really can't get on campus, but there's like a public park nearby. So like, why can't they do a public-private partnership or something and just get like a cool stadium nearby? Only 35,000, 40,000 people.
They don't
Doesn't
even
have to
need
be
that.
huge.
They need like 100 people. Like, get some bleachers and throw them up in the quads. You guys, that's how big their fan base is.
I think it would help their program, man, if they had something way more college specific, and if they were able to invest a bunch in the facilities, if there was some sort of deal like that, would really help that university with coming back. But I just think there's too many systemic advantages for them to really do you see Pittsburgh as a contender for the ACC championship in the next 5 years?
No, they are this year.
But like really, really, like they're a team that you're like, okay, yeah, like they're a shoe-in,
No.
or they're favorited.
No, but they've also won the ACC not that long ago. Like, it's conceivable they win it again in a down year from
I think
Clemson
it's
and Florida
hard for them to
State.
get sustainable success like that.
Definitely, they need to have a major investment there in terms of NIL, in terms of support. I don't know if they'll have the money. I don't know what Pitt's financial situation is like. It'd be cool if they had an on-campus stadium that was suited for their size, because even the stadium on Saturday didn't look super sold out. Like, it looked like there were some tickets that were technically sold to the secondary market that never made its way into any human being's hands. If you know what I mean.
There were full sections that were empty. I documented it well. If you guys would like to see it, you'll have to scroll past the last 15 tweets I sent out to the bookmarked things I did over the last weekend. But there is a picture of me saying 5 minutes before the game starts, picture of the stadium. 10 minutes after the game starts, halftime, and then 2 minutes till the game's over and the stadium was empty at that point. But you couldn't really tell from the pictures. And I would like to remind everyone that Notre Dame has more than just one color that they wear. So just because you don't see a shitload of green in the stands doesn't mean there wasn't a shitload of Irish fans in the stands. Because there are a lot of people wearing blue and gray and white as well that were Notre Dame fans. I saw them everywhere. I would say it was probably about at least 70-30. I think it was probably more like 60-40.
That seems like a lot, but to your point, you don't really see it on television. We as a fan base need to start color coordinating games. It's getting a little annoying.
That will never happen. Our fans are not that dedicated. Even the fans that I went with, I asked them to wear green, and they're like, "Oops, forgot." I'm like, "Cool." Like, we could have had at least could at least had 2 rows of green, but no.
Well, something to work on. You want to get into our 4 horsemen for this game? Because I feel like there's so many to choose from.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and first because Adon Schuler, thank you for making that my double bird response possible. That was a moment that I will cherish in my heart forever.
Good choice. He's been on fire lately.
What else can you say about Malachi Fields, man? 7 catches, 99 yards, 14.1 average, and 2 touchdowns. Of course, grabbing that sick circus catch, contested, going up for it when CJ knew they jumped off sides and just threw him a go ball. And that builds trust, man. Because when it is 3rd and 7, and we're in no man's land, like too close to punt, too far to throw a field goal. I'm sorry, to kick a field goal, right? What's CJ's go-to guy going to be? And Malachi looks like he's starting to step up and be that guy so if a playoff run comes, he can get a dependable connection. So congrats to Malachi.
Notre Dame had 2 SportsCenter top 10 plays in that game. Both the Malachi Fields catch where he dives through the air and then the J. Love touchdown. I mean, Malachi Fields also scored a touchdown off that same kind of play where it was a jumped offside and Carr just lobs it to him in the end zone and he scores kind of easily.
I really want to point out how big in development of CJ Carr that is, because at the Miami game I was screaming like, just snap the fucking ball and get the free play. This time they did it on purpose. Like, you could tell they clapped, delayed the snap, guy jumps off sides, and he was smart enough and knew he had a free play, and he took advantage of it both times. That is a huge step forward for his development, and I hope he continues to do things like that. It's the little things like that that are going to make him a fantastic player.
Yeah, and his deep ball has been among the best in college football. He still leads the country at yards per attempt. Just really impressive stuff from the young redshirt freshman. For me, guys, I'm going to split the baby here and just cheat and give it to 2 guys on the defense. Tay Johnson, my God, this kid is a pure, true freshman, and he is really developing into something. He's got 4 interceptions on the year. I think he's got maybe 2 touchdowns. He is just all over the place. The instincts are there. The athleticism is there. He is a freaky safety, and we are lucky to have him for 2 more years after this. And I also want to give Josh Burnham a shout. He had 2 big sacks, one on the first drive where, look, Pitt came out hot, and Pitt was driving. And then Pitt ran into a wall, and that wall was Josh Burnham, especially on 3rd down with the huge sack. So shout out to Josh Burnham. And then collectively, our 4th horseman is going to have to be Jeremiah Love. We've all agreed to this. He is having a Heisman-like season, Heisman-like campaign. In fact, to me, he should be the favorite now. It's just every week you're getting a human highlight reel. You're getting over 100 yards in rushing. You're getting receiving yards. You're getting at least a touchdown. And he's doing it all while J.D. Price is still getting lots of snaps. It's so impressive what he's doing in a year with a lot of unremarkable quarterbacks. I think the Heisman should go to a remarkable running back.
You gotta love it.
Agreed. The quarterbacks that are at the top of the class right now, it's not like their statistics have been anything way better than anything we've seen in the past with quarterbacks, right? Like, you think about when Baker won, he had over 40 touchdowns, almost over 50 touchdowns. When Joe Burrow won, like what the masterclass that he put on, Mac Jones even had a record-breaking year in his right. So it's like,
well, and I don't even think you can pick which quarterback's been best this year. Is it Mendoza? Is it Simpson? Is it Sayan? Is it Pavia? Or would the Vanderbilt guy ever say his name? Is it Marcel Reed? Is it
Haynes?
Stockton? Gunnar Stockton had a great game for Georgia. And I know we don't like USC here, but Jade Mayava leads the country in QBR.
Really
He's really good, and he's got 2 phenomenal receivers, which, I mean, I don't know if that counts against him, but, it's just like, which quarterback? That's why I think this should be the year. If anything, Notre Dame's running back, Jeremiah Love, and then Texas Tech's linebacker is having a Manti Te'o-like season in terms of forced fumbles, interceptions, and sacks and tackles. He's just all over the place.
And you've got Haynes King, too.
And Haynes King's been having a great year again. He seems like he's always having a good year. So, yeah.
Or the Navy quarterback.
Horvath. Which one?
Horvath. He had a great year statistically.
Not the one that they deliberately sat so Notre Dame could have an easy win, according to some people.
Ball bags.
Crazy, man. Thoughts on the internet. Yeah.
Okay, let's leave Oh, sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
No, all good. But yeah, I think exactly to close up the point, it's a year of very good quarterbacks, but no one that's been super exceptional. But it is an exceptional running back, and I don't even care about numbers or statistics. A lot of that in the rushing game is a lot dependent on a lot of different things. Passing game statistics are a little bit more uniform, right? So. Mm-hmm. Exceptional running back. He's fantastic. He's of the most value to his team than any other guy comparably. So, I don't know. That's what would give him the lead for me. But I'm obviously biased.
Of course, but I think every Notre Dame fan's going to be in agreement there. Let's finish up this talk about Mike Denbrock, because there's been games this year where I think he's the best coordinator that has ever lived to play football or to coach football. And then there's other times where you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why on 4th and 1 on the goal line are you throwing it to Eli Raridan? It's like you saw our tweets and are making an effort. Punch the fucking ball in. It's not that hard. Or maybe don't throw a bubble screen on your own 8-yard line with the quarterback. And it was like a second and long too. Like, what are we doing here? That pick six. I agree with you, Steve, because I think it was your tweet. That's on Denbrock.
The coordinator. That's on the play call.
Look, CJ should have thrown it, and there's some responsibility there, but that is mostly a designed interception, not intentionally, but it was just. it's like what are we doing there? And clearly teams are seeing it because they're jumping that quite often now. So I don't know. What do you think of Denbrock?
Well, they had the one earlier too when Love got blown up 8 yards in the backfield in the second or first possession of the game. It was Carr only had one option. It was the same thing with the pick six. He only had one option to throw, and that was it. And it's not really setting them up for success when that one option is getting jumped on.
Speaking of the option in short down situations, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, third and short, why not run a speed option, right? You like the run pass option. How about the QB power pitch option? Just a classic fucking speed option, man. You have a pretty solid runner with CJ Carr. We saw his draw, for a touchdown to close out the scoring in the game. And then obviously you know what you have with your 2 running backs, because you have 2 of them that are highly capable to run that play. So just something. Run it down their throats. QB power. If you want to go outside, try a speed option, try a quick pitch, something. But I don't know. The short yardage is killing us, and I feel like sometimes they rein in CJ, but it's tell him on the plays that are going to be a little bit more risky. If your first read is open, you fire. If not, tuck it and go, and then pick up 6 and slide. So
that was all that Hershey guy could do.
Yeah, so I just think that they've maybe the play calling isn't as terrible if they had put him in better positions. I don't know. I don't want to be overly critical, but there's definitely some lapsing moments where you start to think, again, is this going to come back to kick us and bite us in the ass come playoffs? Just like, obviously, kicking is part of the concern. But is play calling now, is that a concern? I don't know.
Was it last year in the playoffs? Because I don't feel like it was. For the most part, I felt like we had coached excellently in the playoffs last year. But that could be my memory. Tim, what do you think? Or Steve, whoever wants to jump in on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I tend to agree. You only had one thing the quarterback could do, right? So it was a lot easier to game plan with. When you only have a hammer, you don't have to worry about trying to screw things in. You just have to nail everything. So when you have more tools, you have more options, and you have more things that can go wrong, and sometimes you choose the wrong one. And I think Denbrock's good enough to be able to figure this shit out. He just needs to figure this shit out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I still feel good about it overall, but I think we're all in agreement here. Just some things to clean up before we.
I think it's situational more than systemic, if that makes sense.
And
it gets too cute.
There's 2 things you guys said in there that we cannot possibly gloss over. The first one being the option. I would love to know what Pat Narduzzi was thinking in trying to run an option against Notre Dame the week after we played Navy, thinking that would work. You dumb fuck. 2, the kicking game. It was, even though he missed that field goal, it was much better. I actually made sure, I actually measured. I stopped and freeze framed it, and Tyler Buckner put the ball down exactly where it had to go on that kick. He just pushed it right. I think that can get worked out with the consistency. The snap was still a little off, but I think the kicking game is trending in the right direction.
Well, the snap being high, doesn't that affect the timing of the kicker too? So
Not the
even if Buckner gets it lined
so
up,
much. It's more of how close to the spot can you put it down versus when you're trying to move thing 1 foot. It's a lot easier than trying to move it 5 feet. So when the snap is more on target, he's less room for error for Buckner to miss. The snap didn't affect the kick at all. It was just the kicker on that one. And I think that's the first one all year where I saw it. But I was also 150 yards away in the stands, so I didn't get to see it real time. But I was like 150 beers deep. So my drunk ass did slide right into Pete Sampson's DMs asking him to start monitoring where the hold is and make sure I'm not a crazy person. I hope he blocked me, because who the hell does that?
the one and the only. Well, that wraps up Pitt here. It was a big week for college football. In particular, 2 games that had big implications for the playoff rankings. Thankfully, they didn't both go against us. So first, Oklahoma goes to Alabama and beats the Crimson Tide. All 3 of us got that one wrong. That might create a problem. The problem being that Oklahoma's likely going to jump Notre Dame now. They have already in the AP and Coaches Poll. The thing is, are they going to drop Alabama below Notre Dame, or will they keep them wedged between Notre Dame and Oklahoma? So there's a chance Notre Dame drops in the rankings this week. The other game that happened, and it went well for us, was Texas and Georgia. And I know Steve loves Texas secretly, but Georgia, we needed them to prevent basically the same thing where Georgia stays ahead of us and Texas also jumps us. So Georgia took care of business. They beat the balls off Texas. Texas, not out of the playoff by any means. They still play A&M. They could get in as a 3-loss team, but they're not in danger to us anymore. I can't see Texas coming ahead of us.
They're gone.
They would need Sears' help even if they finish 9-3.
Yeah, they need help. But I mean, also, this is the thing too. The other people are saying, "Oh, Notre Dame's spot's not safe." It's like, do you really think Oklahoma is going to cakewalk both Missouri and LSU? There's a very good chance they lose one of those 2 games. Do we really think Miami is finishing off the season undefeated? There's a chance they lose at least one more game, if not
Pittsburgh.
2. They're playing Pittsburgh. They're playing Virginia Tech. Are we for sure that Auburn's not going to upset Alabama at home this year in the Iron Bowl to cost Alabama yet another playoff spot? These things happen all the time. We don't need all of them.
Tech play.
Georgia Tech play. That could be a Tech win, right? What if Tech loses to Pitt, knocks
what if you
themselves
have
out of the
same
playoffs?
thing? Mm-hmm. You could have the same thing where Tech wins and then Georgia just slides back right in front of Notre Dame, so that could backfire.
I think if they lost to Georgia Tech, they would drop significantly.
Well, they're ahead of us either way. So if they lose to Georgia Tech and they don't fall behind us, nothing changes. But if they do fall behind us, that's a big thing.
Oregon, USC.
In fact, USC could do us the most help. I had tweeted this on Saturday.
Absolutely.
If USC beats Oregon's 2-loss, they go behind us. Now, here's the thing. USC's got a head-to-head over Michigan, and they have a head-to-head over Oregon, and Notre Dame has a head-to-head over USC. And I know head-to-head has not mattered for Notre Dame Miami, but that is literally the only one that hasn't been relevant for the committee, and it's because of basically the underlying statistics and where the programs are right now. Mm-hmm. There is no way USC's getting it over Notre Dame. And then what that does is it backlogs Michigan, it backlogs Oregon. It keeps every 10-2 bubble team behind Notre Dame, not in front of us. So there's a lot that can happen. I'm not too worried. I think Georgia taking care of business helped us out. We'll see where the committee comes in on it Tuesday. But just something to monitor going forward as we kind of wrap up this season and see where Notre Dame lands. But look, I think there's a better chance we end up with a home playoff game than there is we're out of the playoff. So
I agree.
I look at that 7 spot. That's the spot I want. 7 on the opposite side of the bracket of the 1. Home game against the 10. That is my sweet spot. But what are your guys' thoughts on those college football games? And then was there anything else happening in a certain conference that was a little suspicious, Steve?
Yeah, that's you pretty much closed it up perfectly. We discussed all the different scenarios, so now we have our rooting interests. And I'm going to try to put together some sort of tweet so we could follow all of that and then just kind of have it nice and simple for people to follow along. But at the end of, speaking of suspicious activity, end of the Florida versus Ole Miss, right?
Ole Miss, yeah.
Yeah, Florida Ole Miss game. Ole Miss was winning by 4. Florida had the ball back. They did have time to go and drive, although they were deep in their own territory. First down and 10. They have a pass pretty much at the sticks, and their wide receiver, clearly on video, clearly gets crushed by the defender before the ball even comes in. It's called a pass interference on the field, so it should have been the first down, and then they picked it up and waved it off. It's one thing if you don't call it and then you miss it, but they called it, and then they had the audacity to call it and wave it off afterwards, which is just insane. Yep. They basically... they sucked all of the life out of Florida. They couldn't get it done, and then Ole Miss...
Because Florida scores a touchdown, they win the game on that drive.
Exactly. But instead, Ole Miss gets the ball back, and then they just punch it in just for style points to win by 10. So, I don't know. Just or 10 or 11, but very suspicious that the refs almost if there's a mandate for them to try to maximize the amount of teams that get in from the SEC, because there's obviously a financial interest in that for the conference. So
Definitely.
we can't pretend that corruption is not possible when it comes to this amount of money. This is literally millions of dollars.
Florida put up a really good fight. They were kind of winning for a lot of that game too. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Florida fans that stayed started chanting, "We want Lane," at Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
that's crazy. It's getting the coaching. This is probably the best coaching drama season I can remember, where there were so many vacancies and so few candidates, and everybody is just like, who knows where people are going. That is going to lead us into our next topic, but Tim, I feel like you have something to say there before we move on.
Yes, so this is where we feed back into, so my friend that passed away, Corey, he is a huge Florida fan. He has Gator tattooed on his arm. We actually met because of college football. My dad owned a bar in Charlotte, and it was the September 1st, 2012 Notre Dame Navy game in Ireland at 9 a.m. And me and him came up, and our friend Brian came up with the Notre Dame drinking game and got hammered and walked out of there at noon while families are walking in for brunch wondering what the hell happened to these three idiots. But he was a huge Florida fan, and so we always had this kind of pact, like, I'll root for Florida, you root for Notre Dame. He actually liked Notre Dame too, and I didn't give a shit about Florida, but I liked him, so I would root for Florida. But so we're watching the game at my cousin's neighbor's house, and I'm just sitting there, and the news has hit me. Didn't really hit me yet that he was basically dying that day at some point. And then I'm watching the Florida Ole Miss game, and just all of a sudden out of nowhere it hit me, and I just had to get up and go to the other room. And actually, no, right before that happened, we were watching the game, and then my cousin, who's a Sabres fan, turned on the Sabres game, and for whatever reason, that was what kind of set me off. And I was like, I got up and had to go into the room, and I started crying, and then he came over, was like, dude, what happened? I was like, Corey was like through tears and emotional distress. Corey was a huge Gators fan, and when you changed the channel, I'm certain that that's when he died. You killed my friend. You killed my best friend, you son of a bitch.
Tim, are you okay?
Yeah. And Corey would have loved that. But yeah, it was absolute bullshit, that PI. The Sabres won, but who gives a shit? Anyways, just wanted to share that last bit of the story. That's the that was one of the low highlights of it was one of the low highlights of the weekend for me.
Well, shout out to Corey, and also shout out to at Ban Fall Weddings, Joseph on Twitter, big Florida guy, also Notre Dame guy. Let me just say, I think the Gators have got a beautiful color scheme, logo, and merchandise, and I think the swamp is cool. And what I'm trying to say is Florida is growing on me, and I kind of want to see Lane Kiffin go to Florida.
That would be
Would be fun.
It just the swamp would be fun again. Well said. Well, let's talk about coaches that got jobs. Bald Brian Kelly, otherwise known as James Franklin, going to Virginia Tech. That's done deal as of a couple hours ago. What do you guys think of that move?
I knew he would go somewhere shitty and make it shittier. We just weren't sure where. I think the news kind of broke on Saturday. I saw something on Twitter, and I was drunk, so I wasn't sure if it was real or not, and I didn't really give a shit. But so Saturday, I kind of knew he was going to Virginia Tech. And we do have to come back, because you're the lawyer of the family here, Dylan. you have to fill us in on the Brian Kelly saga. We can come back to that, but just make sure we don't forget because I love it.
I don't know what I can provide there other than they're trying to get him to take a lesser buyout, and he's saying, my contract says this much, guys. So that's where we're at with Brian Kelly's buyout. I think it's a great fit. I think Virginia Tech is hitting a home run by getting someone of James Franklin's caliber. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think James Franklin is an elite coach. I don't even think he's like a great coach. I think he's a good coach. And he's done well at other places. He did well at Vanderbilt. He did a decent job at Penn State of getting them up to a certain level, the way Brian Kelly did, and beating the teams they should. Penn State had been a decent team for most of his tenure. They had some bad years in there. And things just kind of fell off. I think he came off as very inauthentic when they played Notre Dame in his press conference, but I think he actually bonds with his players. I think that's what kind of differentiates between him and Brian Kelly. Like, I think Franklin actually cares. And I think he's got an opportunity there to really turn around a program that not even that long ago was in the BCS talk every year, Virginia Tech was. And that's a team that used to beat the crap out of Miami. And it's just like, what has happened to them? I mean, they got such a great electric environment, great tradition, great fans, decent history, and they've just fallen off at the worst time too, because with all this conference realignment stuff, Virginia Tech's not really talked about anymore, whereas 10 years ago they probably would have been. So I think Franklin's got a lot on his plate there, but also you're recruiting Virginia and then like the DC Maryland area, and just like good recruits are in that spot, guys. The Carolinas are not far away. Florida and Georgia are in the conference. I can see him doing something well. I just thought Franklin would have taken a little more time to see if Florida State opened up or if any of these other big jobs wanted him, because there's just a scarce market. But I don't know. Maybe he got the sense they wouldn't, or maybe he just really believes in the Virginia Tech project. But that should be an interesting one, because it's in Notre Dame's interest for Virginia Tech to be good. We want ACC teams to be good again, and like Florida State and Clemson having bad years shouldn't be the norm. And then hopefully the likes of Miami and Virginia Tech and UNC and who have you would just improve again. So that's an interesting one for me.
I can speak
anything else on that?
Yeah, I can speak to Virginia Tech a little bit too. One of my very good friends is from there. I've been there myself for the Notre Dame Virginia Tech game when someone was shooting lasers in Dorn's eye as he sealed the deal. It's a small town. It's not big as Blacksburg, Virginia. There's literally nothing going on there besides Virginia Tech. It's very much like Penn State. So as far as recruiting goes and stuff like that, I think it'll be exactly the same what he's been doing. He just does not have to change his formula at all. It's besides they're more down than where he's coming from, obviously. I just don't see a world in which Virginia Tech gets lucky enough to be back in the conversation, like on a year-on-year basis. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I can't.
What's
Maybe
preventing you from seeing that?
They just lack. They lack that ability to achieve greatness. They have good fans. They have a great little fan base there, but they're all local. So you have to, when you recruit, you really have to stretch out and go up and down the coast, like you said. But now you're limited to the East Coast, where, by the way, everyone else is also trying to recruit too. So you're going to have to try and steal recruits. You're not going to get another Michael Vick. I just don't see how they can. Like, I think they can get to basically become like the Penn State of the ACC, where they're like third or fourth every year, and then they get their shit pushed in whenever they play like a Miami or a good team or something like that.
I'll take that. I'll take a 9-3 Virginia Tech again. I think that's a job well done.
But they won't have that Penn State name where they're getting overrated every year just because of who they are. So they're always going to be like where Penn State should have been ranked, like a 25 to 35 ranked team every year.
Yeah, but he does open up, really, the Tidewater recruiting bubble or recruiting pipeline for them, right? He had such the Washington, D.C., Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey kind of area, Virginia. There's a lot of talent from there. So obviously, usually it goes to did go to Penn State in the past, but because of his experience in that pipeline, I think he can actually start making a name for them, and then this also gives him more access to the South. So I think that he could put together some solid rosters. You're probably right. We're more likely than not seeing him at 9-3, 10-2 more often than not. But I think that he can possibly put together the occasional frisky team that's going to go 11-1, 12-0 that might make some runs. I could see it happening. Will it? No, not necessarily. I could also see him running, 8-4, 9-3 teams, so or even 7-5. So, until he proves it, we'll see what happens. But I think opening that up, it would be unique, and I would like to see it. Just one more thought I checked on the map here. For me, down here in South Carolina, it would be a 5.5-hour drive for me to make it from here to Blacksburg to go to Lane Stadium, which would be cool. The first thing that I thought as I was looking where my driving path would be is you could even make a golf trip out of it. This is just another passion of mine. I'm an avid golfer. In the Charlotte, Raleigh area, you think there's Pinehurst and a whole bunch of different, golf courses and golf destinations. So whether you're driving in the South like me or just flying into Charlotte, renting a car and making a weekend out of it, it's a couple-hour road trip up to Lane Stadium, and maybe you get a hotel for a night, but the rest of the time you make it a golf trip. Would be kind of a unique idea. I would like to, so if they can make it worth my while, that would be nice. If we can have a nice ranked matchup at night and I can go play 18 holes in the morning somewhere in Virginia Tech.
I can promise you won't get a hotel in Virginia Tech, though, because there's not many.
Fuck it, rent an RV.
Yeah, I would do that. I would honestly just set up a tent.
Because if you do it with, if you have a foursome, if you have 3 other guys and make a trip out of it, that'd be a sick trip.
Foursome with other guys. You heard it here first, folks. Do we all in agreement here, though, that from the Virginia Tech perspective, this is a good hire?
Yeah, I am curious what his salary is going to be.
Very curious. It'll be public because they're not a private school. So.
And I'm also wondering, do we know if Penn State settled with his salary yet, like on a buyout? Like a lump sum?
I'm not sure. There's a mitigation thing where you have to, try to find work, and I think Virginia Tech now has to cover some of that. I don't think it's now all on Penn State, but he will get...
Well, it depends on if Penn State said, rather than us pay you the full money you're owed, basically the Brian Kelly thing, except, drama, to say... we can go back and forth on this, or we can just give you basically a buyout. Instead of the $50 million, give you $30 million right now, and then good luck to you. So that's happened in the past with other coaches, and I'm wondering if they did that now, or if they're Virginia Tech's trying to basically use some of the Penn State money to pay for their coach. Because I always thought that frisky.
It could be that. Yeah, I'm not sure which way they went about it. It could have been, we'll pay you less, but then you don't have to. The school you go to doesn't have to pay us anything. Could be type deal. Who cares? They're all making so much money. I mean, it is kind of fun to follow the drama. But yeah, I mean, he got a payday, and he's gonna get another one. USC guys, I gotta move us along.
Yeah.
USC released a statement on 2 topics. One of them being this new Big Ten Enterprises deal, which is the UC pensions management that's not private equity, that's kind of private equity. And the other thing is scheduling. So this is Jen Cohen, the athletic director, and what she says, very briefly, is USC is going to be scheduling out of conference games weeks 0 to week 3. That's just what they're doing now, which is basically them drawing the line in the sand, saying if Notre Dame game continues, it continues in September. It would appear that means home and away, not just the home games, which I think sucks. I think that kind of neuters the rivalry, and I almost kind of don't even want to play it at that point. We can have a debate on that maybe for our next podcast. But it basically is kind of publicly announcing that's where that game is going to be played now, because it's not to USC's advantage, because we're the only team in the world who has to go east to west and west to east in the mid-season for a non-conference game against Notre Dame. How unfair that is, as if it wasn't their choice to join the Midwestern Conference to begin with. And it just shows a lack, I think, respect for tradition and just a lack of valuing the rivalry, because Jen Cohen's an outsider, Lincoln Riley's an outsider, and sure, they get that this game is big, but they don't understand it, and they're devaluing it, and I hate it. On the other thing, they're saying to the Big Ten, we talked about this last week, guys. The Big Ten payouts on this new equity deal that infuses $2.4 billion into the Big Ten conference. It is divided by tiers. So tier 1 gets, I think it's something like $190 million, and that's Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan. Penn State's the key one there. Then there's tier 2, which is about, I think they get $150 million, and that's USC and Oregon. You know USC does not want to be on the same tier as Oregon. They didn't want Oregon in the conference. And then you go to tier 3 is the rest, and it's like $20 million less than what USC would be making. Their stance is we're tier 1, and we're going to hold out until we are tier 1. And I kind of agree with them on that, but that's basically what's going on there. USC's got a lot of shit going on behind the scenes. Them and Michigan have caused a big stir in the Big Ten. And that's what I have to say on that. Does anyone want to talk about this Notre Dame-Miami stuff
Yes.
or comment on what I just said?
I absolutely do. So one thing that stupid, moronic athletic director said was that if another team that went to the national championship last year had to play in the middle, would they have done it? Like, I would like to remind you that just 2 years ago they did that. They came to Notre Dame in week 4 and beat us. So maybe shut up, do your research. And also, are you saying that the national champions that beat Notre Dame in the national championship game would have struggled to get there if they played Notre Dame in the regular season? You stupid dummy. Like, everything about this girl screams, we want to drive this program into the dirt as fast and as hard as possible. And with you, Dylan, if we're not doing the home and homes, it's like, whatever, why are we doing this? But why, like, I don't want another Stanford on the schedule, which is where USC is tracking. So maybe we just cut bait. That's my thought.
I mean, you got the Clemson game that brings in the eyeballs, so you're not losing out on NBC's end of the deal. Steve, what are your thoughts on anything that's going on?
Yeah, with USC, I don't know. It's really annoying with these new people that are just throwing things away. But honestly, we've talked about it ad nauseum, and I just want to let it play out before I start, yapping more, because there's just so many moving parts. But the running through line, of course, that I'll just sum up the USC discussion is money is just ruining this beautiful sport, and it's really annoying. Like, I want people to get paid. Yeah, sure. Not against people making money. But come on, guys. We're losing the soul of it. It's annoying. But regardless, moving on to the next thing. Yeah, Dylan, what was the other topic that you wanted to discuss? Sorry.
Well, Notre Dame, Miami, and maybe we can kind of parlay that into our top 25s this week, because we want to have that debate, because I'm actually in the minority here. So I'll let you guys take this one off, and then I'll actually make the case for Miami.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's everyone, the whole big discussion online, the online war within college football is all about how, of course, head-to-head, Miami beat us the first game of the season, and because of that, they should be ranked ahead of us, and everyone is pissed at the playoff committee. What I think the playoff committee has messaged, what they have said very clearly is, of course, head-to-head does matter, but it's not the only thing that matters. You have to take into account, is a team hot? Are they cold? They showed us a couple years ago they were willing to make crucial decisions when Florida State lost their starting quarterback before it was only 4 teams, but they had that's what is called a set of a precedent. That if a team's roster is severely compromised, that's a factor, even if they are undefeated. They've set the precedent that, okay, even though one team beat the other, by ranking Notre Dame ahead, they're saying there's other factors that are in play. Does head-to-head matter? Absolutely, but everything has to be equal. And do you really see things as completely equal right now with the state of the Notre Dame program and the Miami program? They get mad at us all the time, but it's like the verbiage is still true. Don't lose. If you beat Notre Dame and you want to be ranked ahead of us, don't lose. Don't lose to SMU. Don't lose to Louisville. That's your fault. One of those games was at home, or were both of those games at home?
One.
That's on you. Win the fucking game, and then you have the better resume, and then you automatically are ahead of us. So, I mean, we have the better claim on losses, technically, because we lost to tougher teams, whereas they lost as favorites to not tougher teams. That's another factor that is playing in here.
Technically, we lost as favorites, too, but I hear your point.
Yeah, well, whatever. They were 2-score favorites, though.
Yeah. They lost to bad teams they shouldn't have lost to.
Yeah, so again, will it matter at the end of the year if both of us end up 10-2? We'll see. And maybe they ultimately in the final standings will put them ahead of us. And there might be a good argument for that. But what we need to see is all things being equal, all things being taken into consideration. So head-to-head will matter, but it shouldn't matter exclusively is the main point that I want to put. And that's why I'm perfectly fine with ranking Notre Dame ahead of Miami right now, because Miami has 2 losses in their last 5 weeks. That's not a team that's rolling. It's a team that's sputtering.
So, in the same breath, I'm going to back you up as well. And I'm just going to throw out a hypothetical. For all the people that think head-to-head is the only thing that should matter. If NIU, last year, went undefeated, and Notre Dame was 11-1, and there's only 4 teams in the playoff, do you think that NIU would have gotten in that playoff?
No, probably not.
If it's a 4-team playoff, neither of us were getting in because we were not the 4 seed, right?
But let's say we were.
Okay.
Right? Or how about this? Let's do the regular playoff like it was last year. Let's say NIU went even better. Let's say NIU went 11-1. Let's have them the same record. Notre Dame's 11-1, and NIU's one loss is till, I don't know, like Eastern Michigan or something like that. And every game they won was by 1 possession or fewer, or like all of them are close games, but they are winning all their games except for one. And then you have an undefeated Boise State with Ashton Genty. Do you think for a second that the committee is going to put in NIU and Boise State and leave Notre Dame out? Or if it was any team that's any kind of good? Like, people forget that these teams, that just because they're winning games doesn't mean that they're good. Yes, they're winning games, but what kind of games? Because Miami, again, they're in the ACC, and it's not a juggernaut conference. They were doing what they had to do, and that's all they had to do, and then they stopped. So, and they showed their stomach. Like, it's not like it's not like they're Alabama or Texas A&M or Georgia or Oklahoma. I mean, shit, they're not even Texas. Like, they're not good. They're not, and we knew that when we lost to them. Like, we knew we all lost to a Miami team that we should have beaten because they weren't that good. And the committee knows that. Everyone knows that, except for the people that just don't like Notre Dame and they don't like the idea of head-to-head same strength or same record being so drastically different. If Miami was ranked number 12 and Notre Dame was ranked number 11 in the College Football Playoff Committee, then I would concede the point and say Miami should be ahead of Notre Dame if they're that close. But they're not. So therefore, it's a moot point.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, my top 25 this week, I got Miami 10, Notre Dame 11. The reason I've done it is just an adherence to a principle that I believe in, which is that head-to-head should be sort of the ultimate tiebreaker in a situation where 2 teams with the same record are facing off each other. And for me, that goes back to something deeper. It goes to an old college football project I have, which I'm very proud of, and I should probably publish it one day. I looked at the entire history of the sport going back to 1869, and I picked one national champion per year based on a set of tiebreakers that were determined ahead of time that I then applied to every year to get one champion. It's kind of a cool thing I did. One of those tiebreakers for me makes sense is if you have a head-to-head. So the biggest example of that is in 1978 or 9. Alabama and USC are both national champions. One won the AP, the other one won the coaches. Thing is, USC beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa that year. So when I'm picking between who's a national champion, USC having a head-to-head over Alabama to me was the tiebreaker to give USC the national championship that year. It's a principle I believe in. And I think it's a principle that the committee used to believe in, where it was the teams with the best resumes. So I personally am still following this. I think the conversation has changed to Steve's point. I think the committee now is not really looking at the best resumes. They're looking at who the best teams are more and more. It's kind of a balance of the two, because those two things are different. And when you looked at the Florida State year when they get hurt and the quarterback gets hurt and the committee puts Alabama in ahead of them, well, that decision worked because Florida State got blown out in their bowl game.
Well,
and Alabama,
they didn't have half their starters at that point because all of them went to the portal.
Right, they got blown out. Alabama played a competitive game with Michigan where they lost in overtime. they made the right decision that year. And I understand Florida State fans are upset about that, but like it turned out to be a better product as a result of it. So to me, that has kind of opened the door to Steve's point about precedence and things changing. And the reason why Notre Dame is ahead of Miami and the committee's reason is the eye test, it's the analytics, it's just the fact that Notre Dame is better than Miami right now. Notre Dame is probably the second best team in the country. If it's not Notre Dame, it's Indiana. I believe that. I think Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Indiana are the three best teams in the country. Obviously, you're not ranking Notre Dame number 3. They do not have the resume for that. There just isn't enough quality wins, and they have 2 losses.
Wait, what do you mean you're not ranking Notre Dame 3?
Well, somebody is, and that person is on this show. I respect it. The committee's not doing it. So I don't have a problem with what the committee has done, which is saying, look, the resumes don't matter too much. It's kind of who the best teams are at the moment. I understand it. I'm kind of beholden to the old line of thinking, so I have Miami ahead of Notre Dame, but I'm not crying a river over it. I understand why the committee's done this. Notre Dame is the better team. That's not a hypothetical. That is, they are the better team right now, and I think the committee's got that part right. It's just, what is the committee supposed to do? Like, what is the mandate of the committee? That seems to be the issue people have. How should these schools be ranked? What should those factors be? Is it the best resumes? Is it the most deserving? Is it the most talented, right? We just have an issue, a gap right there, so to speak. So that's my take on it. I'm not crying over it, and to see Miami fans cry over it has been quite nice, because
it's a lot of fun.
They are a whiny bunch, I tell you. What say you? Do we want to do our top 25s here? We're at about an hour, so I'd like to keep it shorter.
I want to say one thing. So Miami beat NC State by more than we beat them by, but we both beat them by over 29 points. We beat them by 29. They beat them by like 30-something. So I think Miami's on board with the fact that now they realize that it's more than just winning the one game. There's another 11 games you have to play, so I think they're starting to figure that out now. Maybe too little, too late. But though I really want to touch on this because I wasn't able to say anything on the show back then, and now I can. When Notre Dame was on the playoff bubble in the 4-team format, and Brian Kelly up and left for LSU, and the committee said, losing a head coach, that might be grounds for us to put someone in over you because you're missing something that got you there. And then they did the same thing with the Florida State quarterback. So let me ask you this. Why would the committee assume that Brian Kelly is a better coach than Marcus Freeman?
I wouldn't assume that.
Exactly. Maybe, just maybe, there's someone else there that could do just as good a job or better. So that whole you lose someone thing, I hate that argument so much because you don't know. You know that they got there, and you know who they got there with, but there are other people on the team there the whole time too. Just because they weren't in the game doesn't mean they weren't making an impact behind the scenes, making them just as good as they are now. So I hate that argument, and I think it's bullshit.
Well, I think that's the line of reasoning that's gotten Notre Dame ahead of Miami, though, right? It's just that who's the better team right now.
We're not missing anyone, though. The argument of saying where you lose someone and therefore you're not who we thought you were after watching you play 12 games just because you lost one player or one coach, I think that's bullshit.
Well, I think it's saying you lost someone and now we know you're not as good as the other team, which is still kind of the idea of why Notre Dame's ahead of Miami, because they were saying we know you're better than Miami right now. I think to me it comes from the same spot, and it depends. Again, what's the goal of this committee? Is it the most deserving? It's the best resume? Is it the most talented? And I think that's just where the issues are. But it's a great debate to have because I think a lot of people are going to have different opinions on it. But here's the thing. If you were in Miami's shoes, if the roles were reversed, would you not be pissed off? Like, I'm pretty sure you guys would be arguing that Notre Dame should be ranked ahead of Miami if we had the head-to-head win.
Yeah, of course.
Of course we would. But it also,
I would also come on then.
But I would also understand it at the same time. I would say, okay, well, we haven't done diddly squat, and first off, I'd be like, do we really want to be in the playoffs and get blown out again for that to be another point of contention when we were looking this bad all season? Because I honestly wouldn't. I would rather just get the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Maybe Miami should just be happy they get to stay close to home.
Well, they didn't leave home much this year, that's for sure.
That is for sure.
All right, well, let's move on then. I don't know if we have time to just break down our top 25s here.
We
but
sure
you'll
do. We have
you'll
to.
Keep an. I don't think we have time, but you'll keep an eye on it on social media. We'll release them as we always do.
I do want to say I would understand if the committee put Alabama, they dropped them but kept them ahead of Notre Dame, because I did that with Indiana.
You keep moving Indiana
down.
down.
Spot. Yep.
You're gonna have Indiana 9th, man.
It's
gonna be. I'm gonna have to start ranking Indiana first just to balance you out, because it's getting. What has Indiana done to you?
They haven't done shit. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean they beat Oregon. It's a pretty good win.
USC's gonna do the same thing this weekend by more.
Well, let's get into that, because we got some Week 13 picks to get to, Tim and Steve. I'll give you a little recap of where we're at. Steve and I had every pick the same straight up last week, so we both went 4-2. So I'm now 45-23-2. Steve is 43-26-1. Tim, you had a little bit of a rougher week, but you're still doing well. You're 39-31 on the year. Against the spread, it's closed a little. Steve's ahead by 1 now. Steve's at 38-31-1. I'm 37-32-1. And you're the reverse of that, Tim. You're 32-37-1. So all of us
gaining ground.
You're gaining ground. Not really. But you are, in fact, doing well straight up, and you're not too far against the spread. Steve was an against the spread nightmare last year, and I think we tied straight up going into the national championship game. So we're in for another nice race. I feel like we've really hit our groove here. Big Week 13, kind of. What do you guys have? What are we doing?
Well, by me picking the opposite of you last week, I definitely caught up a little bit, because I had like 28 or something last week. Now I'm at 32 on against the spread. It doesn't matter. I feel like I'm winning. Yeah, don't bring reality into this. I'm fine just assuming I'm doing well. Let's just go ahead and jump into the games then. I got them all right here. The first one, it doesn't sound like a banger, ladies and gentlemen, but I guarantee you it is. Friday night, under the lights, 10:30 on FS1, you've got the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors at the UNLV Rebels. It is going to be a great game. They're both 2-loss teams. I think actually Hawaii might have 3 losses, but they're both really good. UNLV is favored 2.5. It's going to be a good game worth watching. One of these winners has a chance to move on to the college football playoff. Why don't we go ahead and start with Steve?
Give me the home dogs, man. I mean, the away dogs. I'm going with Hawaii, the Rainbow Warriors. So I'm going to take them to win outright. And obviously, they're plus 2.5, so I'll take it. I'll take a money line. I'll take them all day. Hawaii.
To hell with Hawaii. I'm taking UNLV in this maybe rivalry game. I don't know what this is, but I'll take the home team here. I'll take the cover as well.
Yeah, spoiler alert for everyone that's going to be watching games at home this weekend. You're going to be very bored. This is definitely a plan some chores to do weekend. Rake the leaves. Tidy up the garage for the winter. Because there's really not that many great games on. You could tell
that's because the SEC has their scheduled FCS opponents this week, where everybody's either on a bye week or they're playing Ottawa University at Chattanooga. So
Texas A&M is playing Samford, and there isn't even a spread listed. You're not able to gamble on this game at all. That's how bad it's going to be. Alabama's playing Eastern somebody. I don't know. They're all playing their small games. But I'm taking ULV to cover, by the way. But who's not playing a small game, and that is the Pac-12, USC at Oregon. Oh, I'm sorry. The Big Ten playing USC at Oregon at 3:30 on CBS. All they did was just change their name from the Big Ten to the Pac-12 to the Big Ten. It's basically like going to a Taco Bell, and they just changed it into like a Mighty Taco. It's the same.
You totally skipped Missouri, Oklahoma, by the way.
I thought did I screw these times up? I did screw these times up. Oh well, it fed nicely till you stopped me. But yeah.
Really good.
Well, when you said Pac-12 and then you listed them and you said, "Wait, my bad," I was like, "Oh, he's gonna fix his error," and then you're like, "No, it's a Big Ten joke."
I doubled down on it. Oopsie poopsie. All right, we'll go backwards. Missouri at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a 7.5-point favorite. Noon on ABC. I don't have much analysis on this besides Missouri is playing, I think, their third road game of the year. Steve, who you got?
I'm going to take Oklahoma to win outright, but I am going to take Missouri to cover. Missouri can be a little bit frisky. Oklahoma coming off of a really big win. Maybe they're just not focused or overlooked this one. So I think they win, but I think it'll be tight. Tighter than 7.5.
Steve, I like your thinking, and I'll take it a step forward. Missouri's going to win this game outright, guys. I do not believe in Oklahoma. I think you're exactly right. I think it's going to be an emotional dump game. They're at home. It'll be senior day. Here's the thing. They both were Big 8/Big 12 rivalries, like rivals, weren't they? Like, to me, this is an older game.
I mean, they definitely met in big moments and in big games. Back to the Chase Daniel years, yeah.
This is a straight-up rivalry. They've met 97 times.
Wow.
This is a game. And rivalry games, something weird happens. Coming off a big emotional win, something weird happens. I like Missouri in this one, and I think Missouri is better than people give them credit for. They've lost pretty much any big game they've been in, but they've been competitive in all of them. They really gave Alabama trouble, and I think they'll give Oklahoma trouble.
Well, they were at home when they gave Alabama trouble. Like, they were at home the rest of the year. I believe they lost to Vandy on the road. I think that was one of the road games, and that was pretty close. And I fully believe that Oklahoma should lose this game because of all reasons stated prior. I just don't think Missouri is anything more than dog shit. And what we've learned by watching South Carolina is if you are a dog shit team, you can blow a 27-point lead in the second half. Or you can blow a huge lead against Alabama with time running out. And Missouri, no matter what they want to do, they're not going to do it. So give me Oklahoma, and in fact, give me them to cover, because I just have zero faith in Missouri. I know it would be nice to see, but they ain't going to happen. Oklahoma to cover for me. Next, we have, in chronological order, for real this time, USC at Oregon. I'm not going to even make any stupid jokes. It's at 3:30 on CBS. Oregon is favored 10.5, and that is not a joke. Oregon is actually favored 10.5 points over USC. After Oregon lost to who earlier this year? That's right, Indiana. They suck. But, Steve, up to you.
USC is going to win this game. Not only because we need them to, but because we want them to. And they owe us one time to make our schedule look competitive. You know? So they've been a great letdown to us in the past. When we've been, everyone talks about strength of schedule. Well, help us out, USC. Just one time, Trojans. I'll root for you this time. So they're gonna cover that 10.5 because they're winning outright.
Steve, I agree with you. I've got USC winning this game too, and I'll tell you why. I don't think Oregon is there. They just don't have it all this year. I think last year was their team.
A boat race. Do you think they can keep up?
That's the thing. And where did Oregon lose to Indiana? They gave up 30 points. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but if you think Mendoza and Indiana's a good offense, USC's maybe the best offense in the country. You've got Jaden Mayava, two of the best receivers. It doesn't matter who the running back is. They're getting production either way. I just think, yes, Oregon at home is very tough, and that almost makes me want to lean Oregon. But USC, like, Lincoln Riley might be coaching for his job here a little bit. Like, they're in year 4, and they haven't even sniffed a college football playoff appearance. And if they beat Oregon, they're basically there. At 10-2, USC is probably in the playoff with a win over Oregon and a win over Michigan. That's convincing. And I think, like you said, I think it's just a bad matchup for Oregon here. USC's defense, yes, it's suspect, but Oregon's offense has not lit it up this year. I mean, didn't they play Wisconsin really close? I think they did. 21-7 with Wisconsin. If you only scored 21 on Wisconsin,
yeah,
and I know that's cherry picking their stats. I do think Oregon's a good team. I think USC is going to get it done this year, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm with you, Steve.
It's because they owe us.
They won
Yeah.
18, or Oregon won 18-16 at Iowa a couple weeks ago. Don't forget that too. And they only beat a really shitty Penn State by a touchdown. Then they right before losing to Indiana. Oregon is definitely a paper tiger. They're nowhere near as good as everyone thinks they are. But then we also have to remember that USC, anytime we want them to win, they lose.
Except Michigan.
Except
they did do us a
this
favor.
year, they did it. And so, does lightning strike twice? That's the real question. It has nothing to do with how good USC is or how good their coaching is. It's really, is Notre Dame going to be lucky? Does God want this? Because it has nothing to do with USC. And I think he does. So give me USC to win as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've definitely cursed it now, but 3 of us taking a 10.5-point underdog. That's radical. I quite like that. What do we got next,
Yeah,
Tim?
but there's a way. We're wish casting that in a way.
No, I'm
Definitely.
serious. I was going to take USC before you. I almost changed my pick to go against the grain because I got to catch up. But I really don't think that Oregon has a chance.
No, I really have legitimately thought all along that USC is the better team for the reasons that we discussed. So yeah, I mean,
I can't wait for
Trojans.
this game, to be honest with you. I'm more excited about this game than I have been for any SEC game this year. Which,
Thanks.
as much as I say the SEC is a better conference because it is deeper and they have better weekly matchups, Big Ten's got some exciting stuff going on too. But maybe I should stop talking nice things about other conferences. Tim, what have we got coming up next?
Well, we've got something that's not nice, and that's the shitty little shitter pitters at Georgia Tech. 7 p.m. on ESPN. We have seen that Pitt is bad. However, they have had 3 weeks to get ready for this game because last week was a bye and this week was apparently also a bye. Georgia Tech is favored only 2.5 points at home, so should be a pretty even game. Steve, what say you?
If Pitt had given up more of a fight against us, not that they didn't try, but I to certain people's supposed points, but just if their talent level was there, like we just steamrolled them because we were just flat out better. And I think Georgia Tech has a great roster composition for for the league that they're in, and they do really well with what they've got. And Haynes King is dynamic, so the fact that it's only 2.5 points is a little bit concerning to me. Makes me think that there's a little bit more respect than what I'm giving to Pittsburgh. But I'm just gonna take Georgia Tech to win at home and to cover those 2.5.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that Narduzzi demoralized his team. I don't know, man. I just feel like I don't know. That's just a horrible coaching move. I don't know why he would ever do that. That's like
Pat Narduzzi.
you should get fired for that type of shit.
I've been back and forth on this. Georgia Tech's probably got the better quarterback. Georgia Tech has the better head coach. And Georgia Tech's at home. This should be a recipe for a Georgia Tech victory. But Georgia Tech hasn't really been that good this year, to me. Like, we really overhyped them based on the Florida State win. You look at what else they've done, it's not been the most impressive. And you look at some of the analytics, Pitt is actually kind of ahead of Georgia Tech. And I'm going to take, for a third or fourth time, 3 of 4, I'm taking an underdog. A road underdog.
Ooh.
I'm going to take Pitt. It's going to be a close game. I just think Pitt's run defense, that sure, it didn't look good against us, but we're not the same competition as Georgia Tech. I think they're going to lock down the Georgia Tech run game, and I think that's going to give them an opportunity to score points. And I think with those points, they will win the game. Give me the Panthers.
I'm going to have to agree with you for one reason and one reason only, and that is Pitt beat the brakes off Boston College 48-7, and Georgia Tech barely beat Boston College 36-34 last week or something like that. I think Georgia Tech is also a paper tiger. They just haven't really played anyone. I actually have it right here. They played, a pretty easy schedule. Colorado, Gardner-Webb, Clemson, Temple, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, Duke, Syracuse, lost to NC State somehow, and barely beat Boston College. I don't think they're that good. I think they're going to drop their last 2, starting with Pitt, and then they're going to lose to Georgia. So give me Pitt to win.
Did they not play Florida State this year? I might have been confusing them for Virginia on that win, but either way, the point, we agreed they didn't play anyone well this year.
Clemson. You're thinking of Clemson.
Right, same garbage program. That's actually harsh. I don't mind Clemson, but they've had a rough year. Steve, for my own record, did you take Georgia Tech to cover or not?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right, we got one more. Tim, what's left on the docket?
There was one more thing I wanted to say about Georgia Tech, but I forgot, and it really doesn't matter. Lastly, we have BYU at Cincinnati, 8 p.m. on Fox. BYU is favored 2.5. I got nothing else to say, but go ahead. Steve.
True freshman quarterback and a college football legacy, Bear Bachmeier. He's been very interesting for BYU recently. He's playing in great form, although I don't think that they have the greatest competition. I mean, he got shut down and kind of waxed by Texas Tech. Texas Tech has a really good defense, and that was on the road, but even still, that was ugly. But against TCU this past week, he lit it up. So is Bachmeier going to be effective in this game against Cincinnati? Is Cincinnati, I mean, if they win, they would be tied, put themselves in the running for a conference championship game bid, but they would need a lot of help. So is it possible? Yeah, but they're probably just playing for, what is it, 10-2 at this point, or 9-3 for Cincinnati? Just have like a respectable season and put yourself, I don't know, in a good position for next year. Cincinnati's still playing for something is the point that I'm making. They're home underdogs. I don't know. I think I'm going to take the Bearcats here.
That's bold of you. They're 7-3.
That's nice. Here's Cincinnati's best win. Iowa State.
Solid program. Not great, but solid.
They have a common opponent with BYU, and they have a few, but the one that matters to me is Utah, because Utah is a ranked team. BYU beat Utah. Utah demolished Cincinnati. It was at home, but still, 45-14. I just think BYU is a really decent, solid football team. I think they're a team that I got nothing against them. I think they're good. I think they'd be a fine 12 seed in the playoff. I don't think Cincinnati's that, and even though they're at home, and are we sure it's 2.5 points for Cincinnati? Am I crazy?
I will double check. It's BYU 2.5. Did I write it down wrong? No, I wrote it down right. BYU 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm taking the home underdogs.
Okay. My thing had it 2.5 for Cincinnati, so that's on me. Either way, I'm taking BYU, and I'm taking BYU to cover. I know they're on the road. I just think they're a better team.
Not so fast, my friend. What did we learn last week about BYU? All the BYU fans told us, you can't win in Provo. Well, you know what BYU can't do? Win outside of Provo. So, give me Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Fair
not
enough.
to mention college football makes no fucking sense, so just let it be fun.
Let it be fun. I love it. Let's wrap this up here. I mean, I've enjoyed how much we've talked, but we've covered a lot this week.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Syracuse. They're 3-7. Here's
we
the thing.
gotta announce it. It's
What?
Notre Dame versus Donald Trump. Notre Dame versus the Orangemen.
I thought you were going to take that into like a Irish Republican place versus the Orangemen of anyway. 3-7. Here's the thing. They started off 4-1, and then their quarterback Steve Angeli gets hurt, and he's out for the year. They've been 0-6 since, with losses to be fair, to good teams in the ACC. They haven't been playing the bottom. They lost to Duke, SMU, Pitt, Georgia Tech, and North Carolina. I mean, North Carolina's sus, but those other teams are all winning programs. They lost 38-10 to Miami. That's a relevant score in my opinion, because I feel like that's what we're trying to compare ourselves to. And they lost 41-16 to Georgia Tech. Either way, those are 28 and 20-something point losses. That's what you should be aiming for. So the spread being high this week is fair. They're 88th in ESPN's FPI, which is giving Notre Dame a 97.4% chance of winning the game. Just quick stats that popped out to me. They're 103rd in terms of the rushing attack. And defensively, they give up 125 yards per game just running the ball. They also give up 31.5 points per game, and that's against competition that isn't nearly as explosive as Notre Dame. So just quick statistical breakdown here is not a good situation for Syracuse. They're coming to Notre Dame on senior day without their quarterback against a team that's rolling right now. I think this will get ugly. I don't know how much more analysis we got to give on this one, but I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on the Syracuse Orange, because I believe they dropped Orangemen quite a few years ago, Tim.
Yeah, it's Orangemen to me. I will say this. I went to do the thing and watch as much Q's tape as I could to try and give you guys some top-tier analysis. I got through half a game and said there's nothing to analyze. This team is down bad. Like, down bad. They almost drove the field against Miami on their first drive last week, and then they screwed that up somehow. Like, they're really bad. Without Steve Angeli, they are a lost cause. One thing that they are really good at, they have had 50 punts for 2,362 yards this year. That's pretty good. It's a lot of distance over time. It's almost a mile. So they've punted for almost a mile. They are minus 10 on the turnover ratio. It's better than minus 11, I guess. What other good things can we say about? There's not a lot of good things to say about them. They've had 31 sacks for a total of 228 yards against them. So, I think I'm getting my point. They're really, really, really bad. Like, Syracuse has always been, overachieving program the last 5 years. The wheels were ripped off this year when Angeli went down. They have had no response for anything. That first game of the year against Tennessee, we all watched it. We're rooting for the Orange there. We saw that they had hope. They had a chance for hope. But once Angeli went down, that hope was just set on fire and thrown off the top of the Carrier Dome into a snowbank. It is bad.
I got a lot of love and respect for Steve Angeli, so I hope we see him. I hope we do a little something for him when he comes.
Same.
Just because, we don't beat Penn State without him, and he had been such a solid backup for us when we needed him to. Really sucks to see him go down, but yeah, look, that changed their season, man. They were 4-1 ahead of time. They were not a bad team. They got a decent coach there, but it's fallen off. You got to put them out of their misery. You got to beat the literal shit out of them. And that's the mode we're in, and it's the mode we've been in since we lost to Texas A&M. You have to just beat the shit out of everybody. That's where we are as a program right now. Steve, what do you see this game looking like, and are you at all concerned about Syracuse?
No, there's no concern. I guess, as we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, that anything can happen, but, the stats speak for themselves, 95% for a reason, right? So just, I think it's just a matter of do we cover the spread or not, which is, 35.5 points?
Yep.
Yeah, so,
yes.
Feel bad. Steve Angeli, he only played 4 games, is still the team's leading passer, by the way, year to date.
Yeah.
Just something worth taking into consideration. They have a walk-on quarterback playing this week, so sucks for them. There's not too much to overanalyze, like you said. So the only thing that I do want to just get into the conversation of is I find myself starting to worry about the balance of course we want Jeremiah Love to go for it and try to get his Heisman. But I also, is it worth putting bangs and bruises on his body and compromising his abilities in come January?
Don't worry about that, Steve, because they won't touch him.
That's a good point. If they can't touch him, then he's just going to get 1,000,000 yards and stay healthy. I just want him to stay healthy. I don't want to just overuse him for no reason against a team that we're going to destroy regardless.
I'll say this. I am okay with them not using him that much, but when you're on the goal line, just put him in. Just get the touchdown. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
One snap's not gonna knock on wood. It's one extra snap to me, and take it away from him later, right? You put him in to punch one in on the goal line. We'll take one of his snaps on his drives later in the game away. Whatever, manage him. But you got to go for the Heisman. But I'm with you, Steve. You don't want to risk an injury at this point in the season. Especially, we don't have a conference game, which matters for the Heisman vote for some reason. I'm with you. I would love for him to get 3 or 4 touchdowns this week.
It's very, very possible because he's a multi-threat option, right? He can he's 3 receiving touchdowns and a couple 100 yards on top of all his rushing yards. He's a great threat. So utilize him as much as you need to get him in space so no one touches him and he can just be healthy and score and get yards and accolades.
we play two shitty teams to end the year. We're not going to have any big Heisman moments other than highlight reels that we've had this year. Like, that part of his Heisman campaign's done. Now it's stat padding time. So, yeah, don't overplay him, but get him the ball early so we can score those touchdowns. We can take him out at halftime or whatever it may be. So,
yes.
Do you guys want to talk about seniors?
Before we get into that, I'd like to add one more analysis. This is purely on the Notre Dame side of the ball. Notre Dame is not just a giant when it comes to senior day. They are a massive asshole giant on senior day when they play anyone. They have not lost on senior day since 2016 against Virginia Tech 34-31. Moreover, they haven't lost to Syracuse on senior day since I was there back in 2004. That was a fun one. Going back to 2017, they beat Navy 24-17 on senior day. That was 2017. Not the best year for Notre Dame. Let me read you out the rest of these years, these final scores. 2017, 36-3 versus Syracuse. 2019, 40-7 against Boston College. Skip 2020 because it was a mess. 2021, 55-0 against Georgia Tech. 2022, 44-0 against Boston College. 2023, 45-7 against Wake Forest. 2024, 35-14 against Virginia. Notre Dame just beats the shit out of teams on senior day, especially in recent years, and it's fantastic because we can get the players in, they can get them all our starters out, keep them healthy, and you can get the seniors in so that way they can get on the field. Now that we're talking about that list of seniors, let's go ahead and go down the list. Steve, do you have that?
Yeah, the senior list. Do you want me to, for us to give a commentary after each of them, or do you want to just, in the sake of time, just read out all their names as a sign of respect?
Let's just read out all the beautiful human beings that are graduating from the University of Notre Dame.
So shout out to all the seniors. I'm going numerically, starting with the numbers 0. It's two guys actually on offense and defense. It's Malachi Fields and Devonta Smith. Then there's Will Pauling and Jalen Stroman, Eli Raridan, Tyler Buckner, Jordan Pathello, James Rendell, Chance Tucker, Dylan Devizin, Isaiah Dunn, Justin Fisher, Junior Tui Halimaka, Jerry Rulo.
He's a senior already? Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy? I think
remember
he
when we
still
recruited
has
him.
eligibility.
I think he does, yeah.
I think he could come back for his graduate year. But yeah, it's crazy how fast he's been on campus and played so much for us. But anyway, Jerry Rillo, Jason Onyé, Mickey Brown, Charles Dew, who has that really cool Asian nameplate in the playoffs, Leo Schindler, Kobe Oneyuke, and two more, Jared Dawson and Gabriel Rubio. So all the way from start to finish, those are all of the seniors. I think about half of them are graduating and about half of them have some eligibility left.
I have to correct you and say it was Leo Scheidler, not Leo Schindler, as you're reading a list. I don't want to get confused with Schindler's List. It's Leo Scheidler.
Sorry.
Well, it was just because it would pop in my head as soon as you said that list and that name, and I had to make sure that I drew attention to it.
Well, it's a great senior class. A lot of great players on it. They'll be missed, but like you said, Steve, a lot of them have eligibility. With that, do you guys want to get into score predictions and wrap this baby up?
Yeah, I think Orange is going to win.
That makes sense to me.
For all the reasons said before, there's really not much to go on. The over-under is set at what? It was 42.5, I believe.
I have 51.5 written.
51.5. Either way, it's point off, point here, point there. And I think that's exactly where it's going to end. And I don't see how Syracuse can score, even with the maybe they'll score with the seniors in late. Yeah, I'll give them. Should I give them 3 points or 7 points? I'll give them. You know what? I'm giving them nothing. It's going to be 51-0 Irish.
51-0 Irish. All right.
You're not
Steve?
far off. Yeah, I think maybe there's something in garbage time, or they might be lucky enough to get a field goal or two, but I'm going with 59-6 Irish. Yeah, and I just think that maybe their defense stops us 1 or 2 drives, but their offense will do nothing, and we're just going to have so many possessions to keep scoring. So it's going to be ugly, unfortunately.
Well, for me, it works with both of you this week. Tim, give me your first number, and Steve, give me your second number. I have this one, Notre Dame 51, Syracuse to 6. Definitely going to cover the spread this week. I think it's going to get very ugly.
What's the over-under on Tyler Buckner touchdown throws? Senior quarterback.
How about just made extra points without fumbling a snap? How about that?
Well, yeah, that's probably a good place to start.
You know damn well he's going to win us a national championship this year on a fake 2-point conversion, and when that happens, we will all collectively
all forgiven,
praise him and forget everything. But until that happens, that A&M game still annoys me.
Yes, very much so. But he owes us one, so.
Like I said, his snaps, his holds this week where I saw everyone looked pretty damn perfect.
Full punt, man. Come on.
Yeah, I could do a fake punt pass.
Fake punt pass. He's got the arm. He can do it.
I really think he just takes snaps at quarterback at some point this game when we're up 43 to whatever.
We should do the USC and give them the same number as the punter, and then just sneak them on, and then have them do a fake punt at some point. Well, thank you all for listening. At Horsemen Pod on Twitter, Instagram, wherever else we are. You can find our podcasts on every platform out there. We thank you for your continued support. It's been a great season. I mean, the podcast on Twitter has been just blowing up. We're having a great time with it. Any last words here, folks, for our dear listeners at home?
We forgot to mention what time this game is. It's at 3:30, going directly against the USC-Oregon game, just so everyone's aware.
No, it's... Oh, come on.
Yeah. I also want to point out that at least it's not at 10:30 at night.
In reference to the Notre Dame-Stanford game being scheduled for 10:30 next week, 11:30 for me. Wonderful. I'm annoyed about that USC-Oregon thing. I was really looking forward to that one. Oh, well. Tim, we had pumping semen, slamming our PP in a drawer. How are we ending this one?
I was trying to think about this. Do you know what rhymes with orange?
Nothing.
Dog shit. Go Irish.
Steve, last words?
Nothing. Thank you, seniors, and go Irish. And go Trojans. Go Trojans.
I can't believe you said that. Well, from all of us here, from Tim, from Chris Benoit, and from myself, thank you for listening, and we will see you guys next week. Go Irish, beat Syracuse.